The Columbia Broadcasting System and its affiliated stations present Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater on the Air in The War of the Worlds.
Imagine for a moment how it must have been to live in an era without television or the internet as a source of entertainment. Then imagine that the only form of entertainment is a radio. Housed inside this radio are components that similarly parallel your cortex and channel your imagination beyond all limits. What follows is a program that is no different than what it is you watch in the media today, but a program only enacted through sound that evokes moving images which are uniquely your own. The archaic radio that once belonged to our ancestors is symbolic in how audiobooks have culturally turned the clock to enable us to use our minds for creative interpretation. As a result, we experience a reinvention, a literary reenactment to pique our interest. I'm R. Douglas Jacobs, the author of this audiobook. When I was a teenager, I saw Citizen Kane and became really enamored with the works of Orson Welles. When I read his backstory with respect to how he got his start through radio, and in particular, the Mercury Theater, I knew that the medium of radio was something I wanted to experiment in to present an actual production. My book, Gethsemane, presented itself as an outlet to produce a program in the spirit of Orson Welles and the Mercury Theater. I knew this would be a risk due to the preconceived notion attributed to its title, but my book isn't an exercise in theology, nor is poetry a genre the public should shun. My story is philosophical and one with conviction. I felt then, as I do now, that my story was one any person can relate to if presented in a way they can understand. The elements that need to be in place to make this happen required combining the spoken word with music and sound effects for dramatic effect. So I approached this project as if it were a play, and scripted a stage adaptation of Gethsemane and added stanzas and motifs not found in the book. How to execute this adaptation was the only real question that remained. Over the 2 years that it took to produce this project, I formed an artistic collaboration with gifted individuals who helped see this project to its full fruition. Whether they were voiceover actors, a sound engineer, a composer, or musicians, this talented group worked diligently under my direction and crafted nuances that brings the context and characters of my story to life. As a result, what you have is a multi-dimensional listening experience that is rare by today's standards. Because the execution of this audiobook dares you to listen even more. So if you haven't read Gethsemane, don't feel remiss. You can now experience the passion of my work without turning a page. I invite you to take this wondrous journey with me, if only to listen.